Sometimes, one ordinary night can change your entire life. Emily Carter was just a waitress, tired, quiet, and holding on to the fading hope of ever finding her father again. But when a billionaire CEO walked into her restaurant and signed a single document, everything stopped. Because that signature, that one line of ink, belonged to the man she'd been searching for her whole life. Two strangers. One secret buried in the past. And a truth powerful enough to break hearts, or bring them together.
Weeks passed. Emily began piecing together fragments of truth. Her father had been working on a massive eco-architecture project with Ethan's father, Charles Blake. The project collapsed after a financial scandal, and Henry Carter took the blame. But the records didn't match. Some documents had been altered, others missing. Someone had covered up the truth. Meanwhile, Ethan started noticing Emily. Her quiet intelligence. Her dedication. The way she looked at old files like they meant more than paper and ink. And when he finally smiled, even slightly, it changed something inside her too. One evening, after a long meeting, the power went out in the building. Only the emergency lights remained. Trapped in the office together, Ethan finally spoke more than a few words. "Do you ever get tired of pretending everything's fine?" he asked softly. Emily looked at him, truly looked. "Every day," she whispered. In that moment, they were no longer CEO and employee. They were two lonely souls, both haunted by ghosts. Later that night, as she dozed off over her desk, Ethan quietly draped his jacket over her shoulders. That's when he noticed the necklace around her neck, a small silver pendant engraved with, "To my star Emily, Dad." He froze. A memory stirred, a project folder from his father's office, stamped with Henry Carter's name, and a sketch of a little girl with pigtails labeled, "My star Emily." Shock hit him like lightning. The waitress. The assistant. The daughter of the man his father destroyed. Ethan didn't sleep that night. The Ivory Dine was the kind of restaurant where chandeliers sparkled above white linens, and customers spoke in soft, expensive tones. For most, it was luxury. For Emily Carter, it was survival. Every evening, she tied her hair back, tightened her apron, and smiled through exhaustion. Her coworkers called her the girl who never stops. Unaware that behind every polite smile was a wound 10 years deep, her father's disappearance. He was once a respected architect, Henry Carter, accused of corporate fraud and vanishing overnight, leaving Emily and her mother to face the world's judgment. Since then, Emily had been chasing ghosts, saving money to hire investigators, and waiting for a sign that he was still out there. That sign came one rainy night. A group of men in suits entered the restaurant, their presence commanding silence. At the center of them sat Ethan Blake, the young billionaire CEO of Blake Corporation. Known for his cold logic and ruthless efficiency, he was the kind of man who seemed carved from marble, unshakable, untouchable. Emily served him coffee, her heart steady. But when he pulled out a folder and signed a document, her eyes froze. That signature. The curve of the H, the flick at the end of the C. Her breath caught. "That's my dad's signature," she whispered. Ethan looked up, eyebrow arched. "Excuse me." Emily stammered, "Nothing, sir." But inside, her world spun. After he left, she found a napkin with his company logo, Blake Corporation, and the project name, Carter Enterprises Acquisition. Her heart pounded. Her father's name was alive inside the empire of the man who had just tipped her $50 and walked away without noticing her tears. That night, Emily stood in the rain outside the restaurant, staring at the city skyline. She had no idea that the moment she whispered those words, fate had begun weaving a story far larger than she imagined. Emily couldn't let it go. For days, she dug through old articles and business records at the public library. Carter Enterprises had collapsed under accusations of fraud. The company that took over its assets? Blake Corporation. Her father had worked for them, and disappeared soon after. Driven by desperation, Emily applied for a job at Blake Corporation's headquarters. Her degree in business management helped her land a role as a junior assistant, but she changed her last name to Reed. She didn't want them to know who she was until she knew the truth. When she first stepped into the sleek glass tower, she felt both awe and fear. It was a different world. Silent elevators, polished floors, employees moving like precision instruments. And at the top, behind a black glass door, was Ethan Blake. Their first meeting was brief. "You're the new assistant," he said flatly, not even glancing at her. "Do your job, stay invisible, and we'll get along." He didn't remember her, the waitress from the Ivory Dine. To him, she was just another employee. But Emily watched him. He wasn't the heartless tycoon the tabloids described. He worked long hours, rarely smiled, and sometimes just stared at the city lights like they reminded him of something painful. One night, she accidentally spilled coffee on his table while organizing files. As she rushed to clean it, a sheet of paper slipped free. Her eyes caught the name Henry Carter at the bottom. Next to it, the same signature. She froze. Ethan noticed her trembling hands. "Is something wrong?" She shook her head, whispering, "No, sir." But something inside her changed that night. This wasn't just a coincidence. Her father's name was everywhere, in archives, blueprints, and contracts, buried under Blake Corporation's projects. She didn't yet realize Ethan himself was as much a prisoner of that past as she was. The next morning, Ethan confronted an old family investor, Mr. Grayson, who had worked with his father. He demanded the truth. Grayson's eyes darkened. "Henry Carter was innocent," he said coldly. "Charles Blake needed someone to blame. Henry found evidence of embezzlement, so your father silenced him." Ethan's knees went weak. His entire empire, his wealth, his pride, was built on a lie. His father's lie. He returned to the office hollow and broken. Emily was waiting for him, holding an envelope. "I found something," she said. A letter from her father, written before he disappeared. In it, Henry promised to prove his innocence someday. When she looked up, she saw tears in Ethan's eyes. "What do you know about Henry Carter?" she asked. Ethan's voice cracked. "He was framed by my father." The world stopped. Emily stepped back, shaking her head. No, you're lying." "I wish I were," Ethan whispered. "I'm trying to make it right." But Emily couldn't breathe. Her father's suffering, her childhood pain, all linked to the man she had started to trust, maybe even love. "I trusted you," she said, tears streaming down. "And all I found were ghosts." She left the company that day, her heart shattered. Ethan didn't chase her. He knew he didn't deserve to. Months passed. Emily left the city, moving to a small coastal town where she waitressed at a quiet diner. The sea's calm waves were her only comfort now. Ethan disappeared from the headlines. The once untouchable billionaire had stepped down from his company, selling most of his assets. Rumors said he vanished abroad, but Emily didn't believe them. Then one morning, she received a letter. No return address. Inside, a single line. "I found him." And a photograph, her father, standing near a seaside cottage. Tears blurred her vision. She traveled to the address and froze as she saw a man on the beach, sketching the horizon with trembling hands. "Dad," she whispered. Henry Carter turned, eyes filling with disbelief. "Emily." They ran into each other's arms. Years of silence broke into sobs of forgiveness, of love never lost. And then, a voice called softly from behind. Ethan stood there, thinner, humbler, with tired eyes that spoke of redemption. Henry stepped forward, gratitude in his voice. "He helped me come back. Cleared my name. The truth is out now." Emily's heart ached with a storm of emotions. She looked at Ethan, the man who had unknowingly carried her father's burden, who had risked everything to set things right. "I didn't do it to be forgiven," Ethan said quietly. "I did it because I couldn't live another day knowing what my father did." Emily's tears shimmered in the sunlight. "You did the right thing, and that's what matters." Henry smiled, placing Emily's hand into Ethan's. "Sometimes," he said softly, "fate brings the broken pieces together to make something stronger." As the waves rolled gently over the sand, Emily rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. The sunset painted them in gold. A family rebuilt from truth, love, and forgiveness. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something better, real.